as I'm teaching you guys to build your system so that they can move with you no matter what model you're working with, whether you decide to use HighLevel to host your sites, or you decide to use Cloudflare, or you decide to use something else, what I want to show you is the system that I actually use. And I have all of my sites built on Cloudflare, and I actually use Claude to do that. And we can get that set up. There's a few steps, and that's what I want to talk to you about today is how to get all of that set up. I want to go through the steps just real quickly because I know that I've talked about this before, but then I want to completely walk you through how to build a site on Claude. And that's not the main training, but I want to show you quickly the site. And then I want to tell you what you need to do once you have the site built to get it deployed in Cloudflare so you can just connect a domain. And I'm going to talk to you about how to connect the domain. Tomorrow, I'm also going to talk to you about all the different parts of managing your domains in Cloudflare and how to go to your HighLevel account and how to move all of your domains to Cloudflare. If you have redirects and you have subdomains and you have root domains, I want to show you the safe way of managing all of that because you guys, when you see this, you're going to want to move all of your sites to Cloudflare. I'm just telling you, you're going to want to do it. I want to make sure tomorrow I'm answering all of those domain questions so that when you do go to move your domains, that you're doing it correctly. You don't have a bunch of broken links. I really want to help you with the transition because I've already gone through it and I have made skills and things to really document the process and make it very simple for you. He says an emphasis on tying it back to GHL CRM would be appreciated as well. And that's absolutely the case. And this is why we want to connect our HighLevel account to Claude because we're thinking, right? Claude is the brain. Everything that we want connected to this system that we're building, it needs to be either in Supabase or Claude because that's the brain, right? So it's like if I'm building a system for you, Keith, and you want to use my brain, there are certain things that you're going to have to give me access to so that I can actually use them. And it's great for me to think about how to use them, but I can't actually do anything unless you give me access to those tools. This is the site that I built. Again, this is not about how to build a site on Claude, but I just wanted to show you that I built this in about 2 seconds and it's ready for me to connect a domain in Cloudflare. I want to walk you through the steps. Now, the very first thing you want to do is go into the community. You want to go to today's post here. You'll grab the link for today's guide. And let me put that in the chat for you. Okay. Now, when you guys have the guide opened, you will see what we're talking about today is build your website on Claude and go live in Cloudflare. Now, this guide, just like any of the guides, if you at any point get lost, upload the guide to Claude and say, this is what I'm trying to build. Walk me through it because I don't understand this part. This guide is going to help you speed past all the things that aren't possible. And no matter what Claude tells you at this point, when you put this guide in, and no matter if it says, that's not possible, you can say, absolutely it is. So you can keep pushing back. Unfortunately, that's just how AI is. It doesn't really know all the things that are possible. And this is why we need to rely on our own knowledge to be able to push back when appropriate. So how this whole thing works, before you click anything, hold this simple picture in your head. You do the talking and 4 helpers pass the work down the line. So you describe it, Claude builds it, you say yes to push, Cloudflare puts it live, that's the entire loop. So you describe, Claude builds. Tell Claude what you want in plain words, and it writes the whole website for you. You guys, we've talked about this so many times about building websites in Claude, and you can literally just speak it to the website builder. Since mine already knew everything about me, it built it really fast. And really, again, that's not the point. But you guys know, since you can build it so fast, the challenging part then becomes, well, what do we do with it after we build it? How do we actually get it live on a domain? And what does that process look like? And that's what we're talking about. Once you get the site built, you are going to tell it to push it to GitHub. So Claude asks to push, you say yes, and then your site lands in GitHub. So if you're following along here, this is my Cloudflare account. And all I did was start a new conversation. And I said, I want you to use everything that you know about me and my brand. And I want you to create a Linktree style website. We went a little back and forth. It asked me 3 questions like, what should the big hero be? Which link sections do you want on the page? What logo or photo or logo should sit at the top? And so I said, hey, you already have that. And it gave me this. So this is my HTML site. I can expand this if I want to and see what the full site looks like. Now, if I want to view that again, I can just open that up. You can see the code here. And you can also download this if you want to. But again, that's a lot of steps. And if we're really trying to pump out some content and fine tune our processes, we really want to think about the least amount of steps possible. Now, it's giving me some ideas or whatever here and some things that it thinks that I can improve on. But after I got the HTML code, I said, and when you get done building, I want you to push this to my GitHub repo because it's connected to the Cloudflare worker. And you're going to access that GitHub repo in Supabase. The secret is called demo repo. I don't want this to be an artifact. The reason I said that is just through trial and error, that sometimes when you say push this to my GitHub repo, maybe it doesn't push it to the right place. You may have a specific repo. And then sometimes it hallucinates and says, oh, I don't have right access to GitHub. And then you can say, yes, I know, because Claude doesn't automatically give you read-write access, so we have to put it in Supabase. And all of that can be eliminated by just telling it exactly the system that you have. Now, let's go back to this guide here, because I promise you this is all going to make sense. I just want you to follow along with me and understand the process and the steps that are happening. And then we'll pull it all together and you will see the magic and you are going to want to build this today. I promise you. Okay, so when you push that to GitHub, all right, like we just said here, yes, push it to GitHub. Cloudflare is connected and Cloudflare is listening to GitHub like all the time, similar to maybe a webhook or something. It's listening to that GitHub repo. And as soon as it recognizes a change, meaning you pushed it to GitHub, then it automatically starts building it. And when it builds it, it's a real live site built on Cloudflare. It doesn't have a domain connected yet. I'm going to show you how to do that, but it's automatically connected there. Your site is live just that fast. Now, think of it like this. GitHub is filling the cabinet that holds your sites. A Cloudflare worker is the waiter that brings the right one to each visitor. So one waiter can serve many tables, which is why one worker can run many websites. There are pages and there are workers in Cloudflare. And it's not like you're not going to be using pages, but I want you to understand the terminology so that if Claude comes back to you and says, hey, yeah, let's put this in a page, you can say it's a worker. Okay, you don't have to know what pages are or workers are in reality. It's just important to know the terminology. Cloudflare does have 2 ways to host a website. People get stuck here, so let me make it simple. Cloudflare Pages is an older tool. It hosts a plain website. Cloudflare is moving away from it, but it is fine if you're already using it. Now, Cloudflare Workers, it's like intelligent pages. It's the newer, stronger tool. It hosts your sites and does much more. So instead of being like a basic website, it acts more like an application. So you can do those really advanced onboarding processes and you can do really cool lead gen strategies. And we're going to talk about that next week, where Cloudflare is going next. And one worker can run many sites. This makes it really easy when you want to update your own sites and you don't want to have to go to each individual site. Let's say that you decide that you're going to change your offer. You want to just go to Claude and say, hey, this is my new offer. We need to update all of the sites. And then it can do that for you automatically without you having to go into each site and check it. You can also run audit tools and say, I want you to audit all of my sites and I want you to see if you can find this word, because an example, the My Vision Assistant, we called the blueprint in the beginning, and then we had to register for trademark and changed it to the assistant. I actually ran an audit with all of my skills and all of my websites and had it replace all of the word that said blueprint to assistant. Those are the things that you can do when you have all of your sites in a Cloudflare worker. So definitely use workers. It does everything Pages does and more, and your whole system runs a one worker that serves many sites. If you already built something on Pages, leave it running, or Cloudflare, ask Claude to move it over. Okay, so the setup. I'm going to go through this with you guys. And I do have a video that I've shared with you before because it is hard for me to do this live with you because it does share fine grained token for my GitHub repo. Obviously, that's secure information. And so I do want to it's like a 2-minute video. I do want to run you through it real fast so that you can see from beginning to end the entire process. But just real quick here, what we're going to do is we're going to create a repo inside of GitHub. Now, this is really easy. You're really just naming it. And the GitHub repo, GitHub is free to use. I use it so much and I still have not paid for it. So that's how good it is. So we're going to create a new repo. We're going to pick the account as the owner, give it a name and set it to public. I actually set mine to private. This should actually be private in reality. It's up to you what you want it to be. I would suggest private. If I had caught that before, I would have changed it. And then we're going to create a repo. We need to create a fine-grained token. So in GitHub, go to settings, developer settings, personal access tokens, fine-grained token, generate the new token. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take that token, we're going to put it we need to, under repository access, choose the repositories that we want. And then we are going to give read-write access. Now that's the part that I have a video for, and this part too. That's why I'm breezing through all of this. What we need to do, since that is a secure token and we can't just paste it into the Claude chat, we need to put this in Supabase because Supabase is what's going to keep it secure and keep this private or this token secure. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to add a secret to Supabase and we're going to call it something like this so that we know. And when we tell Claude where to put it, that it knows as well. The naming conventions, you do want to be thoughtful about it. And keep in mind also that you might have multiple repos. If you're naming something sites repo, obviously that makes sense to you and to Claude. So be mindful of what you're calling it. So we're going to add a secret. Now, why does this matter? Your token stays locked inside a Supabase. Claude reaches for it there to push to your sites, and it never shows up in chat or in a file. So Claude never has access to the fine-grained token that you created in GitHub because we put it in Supabase. So it's just calling Supabase, and Supabase is giving it an encrypted version of that so that it can access it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to connect Cloudflare to that repo. We're going to go to Cloudflare in the settings, applications. We're going to go to Cloudflare workers, under the repo, access, choose only repositories, and then click save. You're going to start your worker, go to workers and pages, create, and then choose import repository. And then we're going to set and deploy. Now, I know that is a lot of steps. That's why I've done training on this before. But instead of just moving on here, what I want to do is I want to stop and I want to play this video for you because it just in 2 minutes shows you every step that you need to follow for this integration, which is important that you understand all of the different steps. So of course I will narrate this just so that you know what's happening here. It doesn't have any sound, but what we're doing, we're right now in GitHub. We are creating a new repo. I'm calling this Vision Sites. We're going to go down, and that's where I said I like to make mine private, but it did say public there. It's your choice. We're going to go back to the settings, and we're going to go to developer settings. This is where you're going to create that fine-grained token, which is similar to like an API. You can call this whatever you want to call it, but I do like to name it the same thing that I'm going to put in Supabase, just again for the naming convention. You can choose a no expiration or you can choose an expiration date. It's up to you. And then right now we're just giving this repo access to this. So when we create this read-write access that you can see here, and we're generating this token, that is giving access only to that one repo. Now we're copying the fine-grained token and going into our Supabase account. We're giving this a name, like you can see here, Vision Sites. And we are going to paste in the value of that fine-grained token and save. Now that we have that, we can now go into GitHub again. We're going to go to the settings again. And we need to add Cloudflare to GitHub. So you can see here, we're going to the Cloudflare worker pages. We're going to select all the repos that we want to have access to inside of Cloudflare. And of course, save that. Now we're back into Cloudflare. And we are going to go to workers and pages, create an application. This is how we're going to build the worker. And we're going to connect that worker to the GitHub repo that we want it to be connected to. And we're going to click deploy. Right now, as soon as you do that, what Cloudflare does is it automatically starts building whatever code was there inside of the GitHub repo. So this is why I say even if you have nothing in there, or let's say that you have an entire website and an entire application or whatever it is that you have, as long as that's sitting in your GitHub repo, all of the code and everything, you could connect that GitHub repo anywhere that you want it to build those systems. So it just automatically deploys. So let's go back here now. All right. So now, once all of that is connected, we are now back into Claude. You only need to connect that one time. You don't need to do that every single time you add something to it. We just need a repo and we need a worker in Cloudflare that we're going to be pushing things to. So when you go to create a site, you can say, I have a website system. My sites live in the GitHub repo, and one Cloudflare worker serves them by matching each web. So you can see I'm basically reiterating what I said before here. So serve them by matching each web address to the right site. Build a new site for, and you're going to say what the site is for and the pages that you want. Use my brand guide when attached. Add it as a new site in my system. When it's ready, push it to go live in GitHub repo. Now, as Claude builds, it will ask you if you want to commit or push your site to GitHub. Say yes, because that's the exact moment your site gets saved to GitHub and then kicks everything off that happens next. So when you do that, you're going to watch Cloudflare. Cloudflare is always watching. And as soon as that code gets updated there, that is the signal. Cloudflare automatically starts building it on its own, and then your site is live. You never touch the server or click deploy button. From now on, every time you push to that GitHub repo, your site updates itself. So let's talk about that. Let's actually just do that. So I'm now, since all of that is connected, you'll see here, I'm going to go back into my site and I'm just going to make some dramatic change because I want you guys to see the process. Instead of my typical brand color purple, let's just make a really dramatic shift and let's change everything that's purple to a bright red color. Claude is probably thinking, are you crazy? You don't like red. Why would you want red? But it's going to build it. So once it builds it, you'll see here, and it's calling my demo repo here. It's calling it, it's seeing the code, it's going to push this code once it makes the changes using this connection here. It's talking. Once it gets ready to push to GitHub, it's going to be talking to Supabase, and then it's going to say, hey, Supabase, I need access to this GitHub repo. And then Supabase is going to give it that encrypted thing, and then it's going to say, thank you, and then it's going to push that code and update it to the GitHub repo. Now, when it does that, you'll see the changes reflected here as my demo repo. And you'll see as things start happening, you'll see it all documented. You can see those things down here. Okay, so now what it's doing, all purple tones are gone. Let me re-render to confirm the new red look before pushing it live. This is an important thing too, because it's not going to push it until you say push it. So it doesn't mean that you're going to just every change you make is going to reflect. And so if you don't want it to push any of those changes, you definitely want to say, do not push until I tell you to, or you could have that in your global instructions. So right now you can see that it changed everything to red, but that's not live yet. So we want to make sure, and it says your gold button is still attached, pushed to this GitHub repo as index point, and the commit is 2461A10. All right. Now, if we go into GitHub repo, we can see if we refresh, we can see these commits. Okay. That just happened. All right. Now, if we go into our Cloudflare worker here and let's refresh, you'll see here build in progress because Cloudflare recognized the build happening and it's automatically building it for me. Now, once this is done, you'll see if you go over, we'll see Here's the overview, the metrics, all the deployments. You guys really don't have to know anything about this. I mean, you will learn as you start using it, but you'll see that this here, if you want to be able to access a domain here, meaning like this, just turn these on and this makes it like a domain. So if I open this up now, you'll see I'm actually here. This is a live link. If I shared this with you guys, you would be able to access this page and do things on it, right? This is actually a live website. Now, obviously, I want to connect a domain to it. So what I need to do is I need to go down here to connect my domain. Now, it does need to be a domain that is inside of Cloudflare. Like you can see, I have bridgetbartlett.com. And if I wanted to connect this root domain and it was not connected to anything else, I could just click add domain. And then it would add the domain, right? It's already in Cloudflare. If I wanted to add a subdomain, like if I wanted to say demo and then attach it to this, I just click add domain. Now, if I go to this site here that says demo, bridgetbartlett.com, you'll see now my bio link or link tree is connected to this site. Now, that's literally how easy it is to do that. Now, I know, Keith, you were asking about connecting to HighLevel. If I had a form on here, okay, like I can say, I want you to create an opt-in form for my latest lead magnet. And I want you to capture the first name and the email address. And I want you to make sure to send this contact to my HighLevel account and make sure to add a tag that is demo. That's how easy it is if I want this connected to HighLevel. I just need to tell it, right? Now, this is the benefit of having your HighLevel account connected to Supabase, because we're not relying on the MCP connector and what it can do, because we really can do everything when it's connected to Supabase. Also, we could hop on over to Manus if we liked Manus better. And as long as everything's connected to Supabase, we could say the exact same thing. We could actually go to Claude, to Manus, to Gemini, to ChatGPT, and then we could circle back and have Claude do a really advanced audit. And all of those different models would be able to access this exact project just by connecting Supabase. That's all we'd have to connect to make this happen. So it says, let me check what HighLevel contact tooling, and you can see it's building all of that. And it's going to add, I already have the HighLevel contact, read its contract, so the form wire. So that's what it's building. It's creating edge functions we've talked about before, which is just a way for it to read the secret. I won't bore you with the rest of this build, but you guys, that is really how easy it is to not just build the site, but deploy it on Cloudflare automatically, connect your domain, and even make changes like this where you can add it to HighLevel. Or, like I said, we're going to show you next week some really advanced lead gen strategies that you can use, because long gone are the days where all we have is a contact form with first name and email. We're going to really level up next week, and I'm going to show you some really exciting things that we can do with this setup. And I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Go make your vision a reality. Bye.